You sound like a 20-year overnight success.
I want you to invest in me.
What you're telling me is you're joining my company.
Right.
Okay.
Let's just be real.
Marshmallows? We used to roast them on a fire.
And hey, don't worry.
You think you can close them, big boy?
Hey, is this the model that works for me?
People were screaming at me all the time. Like Gordon Ramsay, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. They melt. They're snowflakes.
If you don't keep your cool, you're not getting paid.
That thing out there that's changed the game. You know what it's called?
Tell me.
You would have been cast out, Collin, in your living room with your wife. Are you kidding me?
Boom sound for that.
You're going to fall to the level.
Back of the room, right?
Kumbaya. It's going to come to me.
Challenge me, something.
What's your goals here?
You'd be surprised.
The sales machine, Rankins.
Folks out there who are in the real estate game, listen up. Today's guest is Collin Mitchell, CEO of Blue Land Homes and a master of both real estate and sales strategy. He leads acquisitions across flips, rentals, and wholesale deals while building a $100 million portfolio. If you want to crush it in real estate sales, Collin's the guy to learn from. He's also led Monster Technology, opened 4 different businesses, and led sales teams his entire career. Welcome to the show, Collin.
Thanks for having me, John. Looking forward to diving into it. And that's one heck of a radio voice, man.
Well, thank you very much. Hey, I dig your background. I love your background because I've pivoted from going knock, knock, door-to-door sales to in-store sales to selling in the boardroom, selling from the stage, selling on the street. Believe me, I've been doing sales for more than 30 years, so I got nothing but respect for you. Tell us about your journey. What got you involved in sales, and now how it went all the way to evolving to a $100 million portfolio in real estate?
Yeah. So we're still building that portfolio. That's the goal. But I started in sales. My first sales job was over the phone, just pounding the phones every day. We were selling technology products, small business districts, and so on. The founder of that company, or CEO, didn't really believe in investing in technology. So we had our own sort of makeshift CRM, which was these like 3x5 cards where we'd write all our notes and put we'd have a stack of callbacks for the day. And was just closing deals over the phone. Worked my way up to the top salespeople in that company within 12 months. I was making 6 figures for the first time after, working a hourly job, lugging furniture around. And then I thought the next logical step was to go lead a team, and they didn't give me the opportunity there. So I left, led a team at another company, basically doing the same thing, but learned how to recruit, train people, bring on new product lines, negotiate our pricing, open up new markets and new segments and all of that. And then shortly after that, my wife and I started our first company in 2012 and started that from scratch in our living room. We had 2 desks in the living room of our 1-bedroom apartment. And then after that, continuously outgrew our office and built a team and grew that to over $5 million in annual revenue in less than 2 years.
Hey, I can dig it, man. You got to do what you got to do. You sound like a 20-year overnight success.
Yeah.
Which is what it takes. A lot of the times people are looking for the get rich quick. I have a good friend. His name is Brad Lee, the real Brad Lee. He runs a podcast called Dropping Bombs, and he's the founder of Lightspeed VT. You might want to check him out. He's like, if you really want to be successful, give yourself permission to make commission. And ultimately, that's the only way, if you're starting out, to have the mindset of a wealthy mindset, is unlimited income.
Yeah. I mean, all those sales jobs that I had were, you got to draw for about 3 months and then it was straight commission, And I think that these commission only jobs there's less of them these days, or less people that are willing to bet on themselves for a straight commission role. And it's like, if you don't believe in yourself to be able to be successful on, commission, then are you really a salesperson?
Amen, dude. It happens all the time. So the market has really, with private equity and SaaS startups and funding and the laws to protect the employee, right? Not the employer as much. I mean, you can still have 1099, and a lot of people are 1099. I haven't had a job in 30 years because I run my own gig, and I was, an independent contractor. But that's always a yellow flag for me when I bring a guy in and I interview people, and I still get involved in the process, right? Especially I have a SaaS company, a software company, and I always ask them, so are you looking for more salary or more commission? And
let me guess what the answer is most of the time.
Go ahead, Collin Mitchell.
It goes kind of something like this. Well, I really do need a high base to start, and then maybe eventually like a more commission down the road. Basically saying, hey, John, like I want you to invest in me, but I'm not really willing to invest in myself.
Boom. That's from Bradley. Dropping bombs. That was a bomb. Yeah, I'm happy to come in and learn from you, John. I really think I can learn a lot from you. So what you're telling me is you're joining my company to do sales, to learn from me.
Right.
Okay. And why is it that if you're great at sales, Collin, why is it that you're looking for more base than commission? Because commission is limitless.
Yeah.
And every time, well, I'm getting a little older, John, or I've worked on commission for a while now, John. And
there's always a reason.
Yeah. So
I think
it's definitely changed the landscape.
Yeah.
I mean, from when you began to where you are now, have you seen the evolution of sales and how tech companies have started funding larger packages and less commission?
Yeah. And I think that, generally, let's just be real. People in general have gotten soft, salespeople included.
Marshmallows?
Yeah.
We used to roast them on a fire.
Yeah. And so I think that's kind of, that says it all. But the other thing is a lot of these, tech companies that have, in the past, when it was easy to raise money and money was cheap, they've built the culture of like making it just too easy for a lot of folks. Like, hey, we're going to spend all this money on marketing. You're going to work nothing but inbound leads. And hey, don't worry, you don't even need to call the leads. We're going to hire people to call those leads for you. Make sure that you're only talking to the most qualified prospects. And if you only close like 20% of your deals, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so let's rant on BANT. Budget, authority, need, and timeline. Here, remarkable salesperson, here you go. It's already qualified and they have a need and they're salivating for the product. You think you can close them, big boy? Yeah, exactly.
They've basically raised a lineage of order takers.
Yeah, but you know what? In fairness, it's an evolution of strategy. It's evolution of sales. I can dig it. Literally, I went door to door and as sales people, and I'm a salesman and a businessman and a father, and that's most important. You can see that little guy right there, right behind me. There's been, so many people have been scammed that people want to know, like, and trust because they've been taken advantage of. And so, there's a book out there, Selling with Noble Purpose, and it's remarkable. Is it Lisa McLeod? Yeah, she's been on my podcast. I'd give that to every salesperson I ever met if I were you. Lovely book, Selling with Noble Purpose. There is an Aaron Ross who wrote Predictable Revenue here. He built Salesforce to its first 100 million in revenue, and he created the SDR. He's like, look, man, if I can just get people on the phone with these sales development representatives and qualify them on the phone before I need to hand off a complicated sale like Salesforce. A lot of the times you're dealing with a board or you're dealing with several different decision makers. Let's get this dude to qualify him before I give him to my highly paid, high base salary account executive.
Yeah.
Right. and then
Yeah.
give him the commission. So I see the value in scaling as an organization with the qualification model and also with looking after people. But at the same time, like the greatest salespeople in the world can prospect. And a lot of that, no matter how much you do for people, the more you do for them, sometimes it creates an Achilles heel. So they become weak at different aspects of the sales pipeline. Have you found that?
Yeah. And in all fairness, that's a great book, but it was also Salesforce at a time where there wasn't a lot of other options like Salesforce, right?
Exactly. And it was like you were saying, you go ahead.
Which a lot of people try to build their model around trying to build a sales organization or team when, they're not in they don't have a similar product market fit. They don't have a similar product. They don't have a similar competitive advantage or first to market. There's a lot of context there that's important to understand, like, hey, is this the model that works for me? Now, there has been a shift of companies, especially since it's been harder to raise money and money's more expensive, where, okay, now you have a certain amount of quota that you have to self-source. And they're like, what? Self-source quota? What is that?
It's called prospecting. Yeah.
So I think that you always need to know how to prospect. And the reality is if you're a seller and doesn't matter if you sell SMB, mid-market, enterprise, you are always going to treat a deal that you self-sourced yourself with more.
Yeah. And not only that, it is definitely, so, Aaron Ross, he's a great guy. He's been on the podcast, but so has Mark Roberge, who built HubSpot, and they were second. And what a lot of people don't know is Salesforce invested into HubSpot until they figured out, wait a minute, these guys they're getting into our space.
Yeah.
We got to shut this thing down. So they started selling shit for $1 and got out of the HubSpot space. And that's when HubSpot said, okay, no worries. We're not going to use the Aaron Ross calls it direct sales 2.0 or outbound 2.0, right? Where you actually research and you figure out who you're going after, and that way you can have an intelligent conversation by being real and relevant with these SDRs to create. So they were doing a lot of outbound, and then HubSpot came along, and you're right. Salesforce was first, and it was the CRM you're talking about, and the CRM space that's evolved at the highest levels, but not that much. It's just an address book. It's a digital address book. The sales machine helps people drive sales with gamification, rewards, recognition, competition, compensation, customer success. Very different a ball game. But when Mark Binoff figured out all these tech companies are hijacking and headhunting each other's people for their client list, right? So the salespeople would just jump from Oracle to SAP to Microsoft, for IBM, and there was no real, you had your Rolodex, and when you jumped from Oracle to SAP, guess what you brought with you?
Your customers.
Your Rolodex. And then the company was, I don't want to say ass out, but they were ass out because you took your clients, right? And so that's where, and Binoff just killed it. I mean, he's a very smart man too. But then HubSpot comes along, and now they're a $30 billion company, and they did it completely different. So they did it through inbound and giving away the CRM for free, right? So that's what I'm talking about, the evolution in sales. And yes, some of it's good and some of it's bad. Like I grew up in a kitchen. My first job was a dishwasher, and then I became a cook. And literally behind the line, people were screaming at me all the time. Like Gordon Ramsay is weak. Like when he screams at people, that's amateur hour. You should listen to the tyrants who taught me how to cook. And that's why there is that saying, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Nowadays, when people feel the heat, they melt. A lot of them melt. They're snowflakes. They're not used to any kind of perturbation and or pressure. And pressure is what makes you good, right?
Yeah.
When you got 8 people looking at you in the boardroom questioning your product and your service and why you compared to everybody else, you got to be cool.
Yeah. And you know what creates good pressure? Commission only roles. Commission only roles.
Yes.
Because if you don't get this sale, if you don't keep your cool, you're not getting paid.
That's right.
Right?
So,
You know,
and you cannot.
and I think that, good salespeople perform when their back's against the wall. If it doesn't matter whether you perform or not, then there's not like a whole lot of incentive to really perform. You find a lot of people that they say they're money motivated, and realistically, there's only a very small percentage of people that are actually driven by money, right? And those are typically like your very top performers. The rest of the people, commission's kind of like a nice to have.
Yeah, because now there's that thing out there that's changed the game. And it was created by an employee. You know what it's called?
Tell me.
You had 2 desks in your living room. You would have been banned from their organization, Collin. You would have been cast out, Collin. Desk in your living room with your wife? Are you kidding me? Cast him out. He's not a part of our work-life balance club. Yeah, the comfortable people. Comfort is the enemy of success, and mediocrity equals poverty. That's reality.
You need the boom sound for that, man.
Wow, you just gave me a bomb. Mediocrity equals poverty. And so if you're, paycheck to paycheck, it's your own fault. If you're born poor, it's not your fault. But if you die poor, it's 100% on you, right? And that's the difference. And so I love your journey. I love the evolution, and we pivot, in our, and I'm always about helping people get better. And and we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our habits, what we do every day, And if you're the guy who's out there prospecting and doing the work and, do more, get better. Do more, get better is what Brad Lee says. Do more, get better. And success is all about mindset, skill set, and your habits. But if you don't increase or maintain your habits, you're not going to rise to the level of your goals. You're going to fall to the level of what you do every day.
Absolutely. And when you say do and habits, just for the people in the back of the room, right? We're talking about taking action, right?
Yeah,
taking action.
We're not on the street in San Francisco
to be
doing habits.
Yeah. No, we're talking about, as a salesperson, taking, revenue generating action, right? Whether that's prospecting, putting in your, activity, taking sales calls, negotiating, sending contract, whatever, everything there is to do with generating revenue, for yourself as an entrepreneur or as a seller for whatever organization you work for. Because I think a lot of people get caught up in, I can manifest my goals, or I've got the miracle morning dialed in, journaling, meditating, sauna, workout. I'm going to spend 3 hours on me, and then I'm going to spend, 30 minutes on action.
Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. It's going to come to me. Yeah, well,
don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with those.
Buddha, and tell me how that works out for you for, feeding your children.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with having a morning routine or waking up early. I wake up early. I go to the gym. I do all those things. But doing reading 52 books a year, like those things are not going to earn you more income for your family. Bottom line, like you've got to take action.
Amen, dude. Like I hear people say, yeah, I read, 1,000 books. Yeah. And you're broke. You didn't implement shit. So there's millions of college graduates that are homeless. They read a lot of stuff, but they didn't implement shit.
Yeah.
Right. So I have this conversation about KPIs, and we used to call them goals or targets. Right. But in actuality, they're not. More and more, I've come to understand there's leading indicators and lagging indicators. And the most important thing that you can do every day is stick to challenging yourself with what are the activities. And like you said, you call them revenue generating activities. My mentor, Sherry, Coach Sherry, big shout out to you. I love you. She's like, everybody in the organization should be working on SGA, sales generating activities, every single day. Because calling 100 people a day, increasing and maintaining that activity, of course, it's skill set as well, but we have mindset, skill set, and habits, right? That's what's going to move the needle. So otherwise, it's gambling.
Yeah. Well, but the other side of it too is okay, let's say you are putting your 50, 100 calls a day in. You can't be doing it just for the sake to check a box and say, yeah, I did my 100 calls, right? Like, are you actually sharpening your skill set? Are you actually, reviewing your calls, listening to the recordings, getting better, learning, improving your skills to have more effective calls, right? If you're just, because, look, I get cold calls constantly. And I can't tell you how many people, and I'm just one of those people that pretty much always picks up my phone. If I'm available and it's ringing, I'm picking it up, because it might be money. You never know. And so I can't tell you how many people cold call me on a regular basis. And as soon as they get a little bit of a pushback of a no, it's like, okay, just boom, bye, see you later. Sometimes they don't say anything. They just hang up. And it's crazy that they don't follow it up with another question, push a little bit, challenge me, something.
Yeah, exactly.
And those are the people that are like, I'm just trying to get my 100 calls in so my manager doesn't breathe down my back and I can get my paycheck.
Amen. Yeah. So the KPIs are just a leading indicator of activities that have to happen to achieve the goal. But you're right. Ultimately, I look at a modern day sports organization. If you look at the millions and millions of dollars that these new recruits that are making in college now, they're allowed to earn money instead of the college getting all the money, which is great news. Some people are like, sacrilegious, they should play for the college. That's the college putting that out there. They should get paid for doing what they do. And then the NFL draft is happening today, folks. And hopefully the Pittsburgh Steelers take a defensive lineman because we need a defensive lineman, right? But it's all about practicing your skill set pre-game. And then you have game time. And then you have game tape. So I'm 100% into looking at game tape or listening to how did the things go after a sale or a sales call or a sales meeting. Like I went to one 2 days ago, and I was sitting in the boardroom with the owner of a manufacturing food distribution company, and I was talking to him. And then afterwards, what do you think I did with the team? I debriefed. What did I do well? What did I not do well? And, when we walked in, he's like, hey, we've looked at your solution. We believe in what you're doing. Normally he has his sales team with him and his advisors, and they weren't there. He's like, yeah, I think it's, nice to have, right? It's nice to have, but ultimately my sales are down and we're not doing well. So I'm going to have to get rid of a bunch of people. So I don't think it's a good idea for us to invest in a solution right now. And my team was like, I thought we lost him.
No, you got him.
If you're enjoying this episode and you're picking up what I'm putting down and what the guests are actually putting out there, do me a favor, like and comment what you liked about the episode, or even comment what would you like to hear, what topics would you like to hear in the future? Because believe me, it matters. I read absolutely every single one of them, and I want to bring you more and more value to help companies scale so that we can grow this podcast to make a bigger difference. Now let's get back to the show. And I'm like, that's exactly why. I'm like, what is your intention on actually even looking at a system? We're not talking about technology. Technology is not going to solve your problem. God forbid you think technology is going to solve your problem. It's not. What's your goals here? As far as a company, you've got 78 people out there hitting the streets every day. What's your ultimate goal? And he says, well, I just don't want to run it anymore. I've done this for 30 years, and I know I'm the best to do it. I know I am. But I really hope that the new sales lady or the VP of sales, she can figure it out, because I don't want to do it anymore. I'm happy to sell my company. And I'm like, that's beautiful. I'm like, well, you can't sell your company for nothing. Your salespeople aren't doing well. Your people, number one. Number two, you don't have any technology. You don't have a system. Nobody's going to want to buy this if you don't have a system. If you have a system in place and you improve the sales, you can sell it for double. And he goes, all right, well, let's talk about the package again.
Yeah.
And I'm
of
like,
course he did.
okay. And within 5 minutes, he went and got the rest of his team because I didn't accept the no. And my team, when we left, my technical business analyst, she's like, man, it was dismal. I thought we were done. I thought he was kicking us out.
Well,
and I'm like,
that's where most people give up, right? As soon as they have some sort of pushback or challenge or rejection, right? And good salespeople know that no, that's just an opportunity to ask some deeper questions and challenge your prospect. And you'd be surprised what you find out. You find out what the real problem is, what the real pain is, what it is that you need to solve for them in order to put a deal together.
Yeah, and you've done this. So we've talked about the individual and what has to happen individually with the mindset, the skill set, the habits. Then you built Monster, and you still own Monster. Technology driven, 12 and a half years, successful company. How was it building a sales team in that tech space?
So it was extremely difficult. I'm not going to lie. We went through a lot of people, and there really is no simple answer to building a sales team. Everybody wants the secret sauce of like, hey, I need the best onboarding process. I need this, I need that. I need this software. I need this recruiting. Like, you can do your diligence and probably be a little bit better on vetting people. But look, we've all hired people that's like, this guy, this gal, gonna be a rock star, right? And then the first week on the job, you're like, who is this person, right? Not the same person in the interview. Because, I mean, they're salespeople. If they don't know how to sell themselves, they'd never get a job. But there's some key things that you want to look for. I would say one of the number one things is like coachability, right? And then what I like to look for too is like, have they had something challenging in their life, right? That they've had to overcome, right? Because we were just talking about it. Great salespeople don't, when they're challenged or rejected in some way, right? So have they had something personal, professional in their life that, was maybe very difficult, and, how did they get through it? What they learned from it? You can ask a lot of questions around, when they've gotten feedback, what was that feedback? How'd they handle the feedback, right? Because you need people that are coachable. That's really important. But all in all, I mean, we did find some rock stars, but I would say it was like 1 to 2 out of every 10 that we hire, right? And then, if you give good salespeople the right tools, the right opportunity, you can build a really successful business. I believe in really high compensation plan and finding those people that are money motivated in order to, build a successful sales team.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Like, ultimately, the people that have went through struggles, the people that have a background that, they've been pushed down their whole life, but they continue to evolve. They continue to get better. They're diamonds in the rough. And, it's not easy to find diamonds. And even when you find them, then it's all about, you got to polish them and develop them. And then you can develop from within. I literally have taken people that have never sold software before and put them into the software game and or into skincare or car care. And, we've sold ADT alarms. We've sold American Express credit cards. And I can tell you that the ones that have the best attitude and are just hungry will outperform the skill set, because attitude is way more important than the skill set. Because if you have the right attitude, I can teach you the skill set. So I love it. And so,
yeah. And I love that you said you've taken people that never sold software and put them in software, because I love how, software companies think like, oh, our sales process is so unique because we sell software. So we're only going to hire people that have sold software. And it's the dumbest thing I've ever.
Yeah. Follow the process. So I created a framework called Next Level Sales. So how do you because we don't want to get involved with selling the features and competing with other CRMs or other learning management systems. We want to sell the transformation. So where are people at in their organization, and what's the next level for them? Now, because I believe it doesn't matter where you come from. And yeah, there's some great salespeople out there that are unconsciously competent. They can just come in and nail something. But what they do most of the time is listen and ask deeper questions, because that's what you're doing when you're prospecting. Even though you found a prospect, when you go see them the first meeting, it should be about prospecting more, going deeper to find the gold from the individual who has that problem. What is their problem? What's the root cause of that problem? How much is it costing them? How much more will it cost them if they don't change? And what does transformation look like? That's the next level, right? So you find out their needs. You find out the economic impact. You find out what are the X factors that's holding them back. Themselves, the board, the organization, and then the timeline. That's next level. Follow the process and walk them through the process step by step. You don't need a college degree to do that.
No.
You just need a good attitude, some empathy, and to know when to shut up. So
that's a big one. Knowing when to shut up.
Yeah, knowing when to shut up, because nobody cares, man. Nobody cares about our product, our services, and us until they have a relationship. So when I teach new people, I just write on the board, nobody cares. And I'm like, this is your sales training for the day. Figure that out. Nobody cares. So you built Monster into a successful company, and then technology sales. How many salespeople do you have running?
Yeah. So at the height of that, we had about 20 sales reps, give or take, plus or minus. Now we mostly sell to education. So COVID hit that business kind of hard. And so we scaled back to like 6 salespeople. And then I have a manager that runs that. I'm not as involved in that business anymore. And from there, I started a technology company. So a unified communications platform. So we sold like voice over IP and texting platforms and call center software. Scaled that pretty quickly for about a little less than 2 years, and then exited that. After that,
aren't you just a badass?
I think I'm so lucky my wife supports everything I do, because I've changed what I've done.
Amen.
So many times
out there supporting their men.
I think I get bored.
Next week, happy birthday, baby.
And so from there, sold that business, and then I started actually a B2B content agency. So we managed many of the top B2B sales podcasts. And so at the height of that, I think we had, 80 shows that we were managing our clients, and then ended up exiting that. And then from there, I was like, I don't really want to start another business. I was kind of over that. And so took a head of sales position for an AI company.
Infected, dude. You are already infected. You got the virus.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the entrepreneurial virus, not the COVID. And so the more you do, and then you're successful, and then you exit, and now you're like, shit.
It's hard. It's hard building a company, So after that, I didn't really have any intention in building anything else. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to go get a nice head of sales, CRO position, get some equity, build it, not have to worry about all the other pieces, just build a team, sell, carry a quota, all of that. Built that, increased revenue by over 30% in like 9 months for that company, but it just didn't work out. The founder was somebody who had never scaled a company before and wanted to waste time doing a lot of things that I felt were useless, when, you're just trying to get to your first million ARR. And it ended up just, in the end, it just didn't end up being worth it. I remember it pretty clearly. It was like Easter weekend, and we were visiting the Bay Area, and my family was outside running around, having fun, enjoying the weather. I have 4 kids, and I was there on another damn Zoom call, just like, I don't like this. It's not worth it. So I ended up leaving there and joined up with a buddy who runs a outbound sales agency. So outsourced SDRs for tech companies. They were planning to do an exit. They'd been in the business for a while. They're sort of pioneers in the space. Got a good package where it was a plan to exit, and worked with them for about a year, grew their revenue by 36%. They ultimately decided they didn't want to sell, at which point, I ended up saying, hey, this ain't for me anymore then. And that's when I went all in on real estate.
Amen. So how's the journey been in real estate now? And now you, and how is there any difference recruiting, training, and retaining sales people and developing them from the tech space, and now you're in the real estate space?
Not really. So, as far as what you look for in a good salesperson, it's pretty much the same. It ultimately doesn't matter what you're selling. Like, you are building trust and rapport with people. We are typically over the phone talking to people, building trust and rapport to get them to basically sell us their house at a discount without ever seeing the house. Like, in a nutshell, that's what we do majority of the time. Now we've kind of switched our model where we now have local people that once there's a deal or opportunity, we are sending them to the house to meet the homeowner and all of that. So we've kind of gone from a fully virtual to more of like a hybrid model. But there still are cases where we literally buy a house over the phone in a one-call close, spending 45 to 60 minutes on the phone with somebody without ever seeing the house. And that happens often. And so you have to really know what you're talking about. You have to know how to read people, right? You got to know what their personality is and be able to match that. It's all the same skills as selling B2B, selling software, but you're just dealing with normal people. You got to know how to negotiate, right? Got to know. I mean, there's typically, people aren't just saying, "Hey, I want 100 grand for my house," and yeah, sure, we'll pay 100 grand. You got to walk them through why their house is worth what it's worth, why you can pay, all of those sort of things. Build trust and rapport, right? I mean, they are selling their house to you over the phone, and
amen. So how do you read the room? How do you read the room if you can't see the individual?
I mean, you pick up on cues, you build rapport. No. I mean, we don't just get to the deal. I mean, sometimes the first call, it all depends, right? If there's high motivation, right? In B2B sales, we call it pain, right? If there's high motivation for them to sell, meaning something's going on in their life where they need to sell their house and they can't list it with an agent. They don't have time for that. They don't have patience. Maybe it's a financial situation. Maybe they're sick and need to go into a home. Whatever the case is, there's something going on and they need a solution, right? And sometimes that solution looks like us helping them find a place. Maybe we're releasing funds so that they can have money to move. Maybe we're helping them find a home. Maybe we're hiring movers for them. Maybe we're saying, hey, they really need to sell their house, but their house is full of stuff and they don't know what to do with the stuff. And we tell them they can leave it behind. I mean, you got to find out what's going on with the person and their situation to be able to come up with a solution that makes sense for them. And everybody wants the easy button and convenience, and people are willing to pay that. I mean, it's not like these people are not dumb. It's not like they don't know what their house is worth. They do, but they're willing to sell it at a discount if you can provide a solution to their situation. It's the same reason that in B2B sales, people don't always go with the cheapest price. They go with the person that they trust is going to provide the best solution for them, right? Could be the most expensive, could be the middle of the road price, doesn't matter. They're going to go with who they think is the best suited company to fix whatever problem it is that they have in their organization.
Amen. You're selling them the next level transformation, the benefit of getting out now. Why us instead of others? So I'm not going to say never. I mean, I'm still in my journey, and I want it to be a long journey. I've learned along the way. The fact is, everybody's out there saying we're better. And my psychology and methodology and all of that is we're just different. I'm not here to tell you I'm better than better. But I will say we're completely different than the others because I'm not here to sell you technology. I'm here to find out what's the problem, the root problem, and what does the next level look like for you. I'll even give you my process and I'll write down next level and say, okay, at each step of this, where are you at? Where do you want to be? And it's not foolproof. Most of the time when it works the best is when I'm saying less.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It works the best when you say less.
You got to put that on a t-shirt or a coffee mug or something.
Wow, man. We're just on fire. You're bringing out the best in me, Collin. Where do I sign up, man? You've done it all. So you built a business promoting podcast. How am I doing? I'm an amateur. I've had no training whatsoever, dude. This is number 82. And I started it like a year and a half ago. I'm like, we need to promote the business. We need to help people understand B2B sales, understand how to be successful, and allow them to build a sales machine in their business by learning from the top experts in the world. I've never paid nobody. No one would get on the show initially. And so you know what I did? I said, you know what? The best guy I've ever learned from in sales used education-based marketing. He wrote the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine. His name is Chet Holmes. So episode number 1 of The Sales Machine was a tribute to his life because I wanted him to mentor me. And then I only found out later that he passed away. So the very first episode was a tribute to Chet Holmes. And since then, man, I've gotten amazing people like Collin, like you on the show. How am I doing so far?
Yeah, you're a pro.
I'm a pro.
You're pro status.
I just keep doing it like you say every single day.
That's what it takes, right? Massive action. Habits.
But I got to give my team, Vanessa, champion. She's got all of these she got Aaron Ross, Mark Roberge, Keenan, Gap Selling. She got Liz Elting, billionaire, Lisa McLeod, Selling with Noble Purpose, Leading with Noble Purpose. And my studio manager, it's the three of us in studio, which is basically, this is just my office. This is my office where I work. And then Cha, my content writer, who's brilliant. So I love everything you've done, and the advice you give is gold. And the simpler for me, the better. So if people want to sell their home and want to be looked after, not taken advantage of, because you gave some nuggets out there. You didn't say they're selling we go after people that need to move into a home and we need to, just get them out now and sell it for undervalue. You said we look after people. If we need to move them, if we need to do certain things for them, and we put them in a position to sell their home for a little less than market value, but we look after them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the difference, right? Is really caring about the people and not just the deal.
Yeah, 100%. I just had an opportunity 2 weeks ago. So we have a loyalty-based software program, but it doesn't work in a particular market with the social media communication. And the salesman called me up and said, look, they want to do the deal. I want to make the sale. What do you think? And I said, have you asked them about the technology that now went from WhatsApp to Telegram? Have you talked to them about that? Because the adoption of the medium for communicating is not very high right now. Are they cool with that? And she said, no. And I said, no, we're not. I'm not taking that money. It's a no. If we can't fulfill the client and they're not going to be successful, then it's a no. We don't want the money. Otherwise, go back to them, talk to them, elaborate on the situation, elaborate that they're going to have to educate their customers. It'll still be very valuable for them. But if they don't see the value and they don't have somebody that's going to implement it, then it's a no, because we don't care about making commission. We care about taking care of people. Anyway, she went back and forth for 2 weeks and they said yes. And I said, that's fine then. But then I called my customer success agent and I said, are you confident that you can implement? You call them now also and make sure they understand every single step and that they're cool with it and the timeline. And then we'll do the deal. But otherwise, it's a no. We don't work for money. We work for people. And he got it. He's like, I'm so glad you said that, John. Anyway, he persuaded them also, and they're good. But otherwise, I would have never taken their money.
Yeah.
And so many people out there would, especially
so many people would. But you know what? People that have been doing this for a while understand, those short-term gains, those aren't wins. Because, as a company, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a salesperson, all you have is your reputation, right? And if you have the reputation of somebody that's just there to take the money, you're not going to last long in any business.
Yeah, and nor should you. All right, so tell me about your biggest win ever now in your new gig in real estate.
Yeah, biggest win in real estate is probably a house that we're rehabbing right now. So we do fix and flips. This house is, when we're done with it, will be worth $350,000. We bought it for $105,000, and we're going to spend $80,000 on the rehab. So we will have a 6-figure plus profit on that deal.
Amen. And what was the time turnaround?
Yeah, so that project will take us about 60 days.
60 days. Amen again.
Yeah.
Amen again. So a couple $100,000 win.
In 60 days, yeah.
Yeah, that's how we should do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to win again and again, get a hold of Collin Mitchell, whether it's for an opportunity, if you want to actually sell your home and get in a better situation. He's a man of integrity and he continues to win. Everything he touches turns to gold, and he could definitely add value to your life. Thanks for being on the show, Collin.
Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining me today. And if you got value from this episode, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and refer a friend. And if you want even more value, go to thesalesmachine.com, click on resources, and there's tons of resources there to increase profits and drive performance in your business. Right on, come on.